Please rise for invocation by Reverend Melissa France of Daytona Beach Drive-In Christian Church. There she is.
Hi, everyone. Will you pray with me? Creator of all, we thank you for the many blessings that we each enjoy here in the city of Port Orange. Tonight, I pray for those who are in the offices that govern this city, and thank you for their willingness to serve their community, which can oftentimes be a thankless job and is certainly one that does not please everyone. I pray that they will make good and wise decisions that are in the best interests of the entire community. In the words of President Biden's proclamation from March 29, 2024, there is no greater sin than the abuse of power, especially when that abuse is directed at a child. So tonight, I give thanks that this council recognizes the month of April as National Child Abuse Prevention Month, and I pray that together we stand ready and willing to do everything we can to prevent abuse and neglect, to support brave survivors, and to continue working together as a city to build strong families where every child can grow up happy and safe. I also pray for your blessings and for your protection to surround our law enforcement officers and our first responders as they work tirelessly to serve and to protect each of us. And I ask for your blessings for the men and women in city government, the mayor's office, the council members, and all elected officials as they work to serve the people they represent. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk call the roll?
Councilman Foley,
Here.
Councilman Grubbs,
Here.
Councilman Bastian,
Here.
Vice Mayor Stiltner,
Here.
Mayor Burnett.
Here. We have a full quorum tonight, so we can definitely conduct business. With that, I do have a proclamation that was already referred to. I don't see Lisa Burke here just yet, but
Lisa couldn't make it.
Oh.
So I'm here. I'm Brian Carr, the Director of Church Relations at Residing.
well, come on up, Brian. You're not Lisa, but I will allow for it anyway.
Thank you.
And she's certainly a whole lot better looking, but that's
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah.
With that, I'm going to go ahead and read the proclamation, and then I'm going to come down and present it to you.
Okay, thank you.
We referred to the proclamation already during the invocation that April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. So with that, a proclamation. Whereas every child deserves to grow up in a nurturing environment free from abuse, neglect, violence, or endangerment of any kind. And whereas child abuse can have long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effects that have lasting consequences for victims. And whereas effective child abuse prevention activities succeed because of the partnership created among child welfare professionals, education and health professionals, business, law enforcement agencies, families, and community and faith-based organizations. And whereas we must work together as a community to build awareness about child abuse and continue to promote the social and emotional well-being of children and families in a safe and stable and nurturing environment. And whereas Residing Hope, formerly the Florida United Methodist Church Children's Home, serves abused, abandoned, and neglected children by providing therapeutic residential care, foster care, and outpatient counseling. Now therefore, I, Donald O. Burnett, Mayor of the City of Port Orange, Florida, do hereby proclaim April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month in the City of Port Orange, and I urge all our residents to become more aware of child abuse. And of course, report suspected cases to the Florida Abuse Hotline at 800-96-ABUSE. 800-96-ABUSE. And with my signature and the seal of the city, it is so declared on this day and in this place. And I absolutely appreciate Lisa because she gave me the better part of half of a day to come out there and tour the facility, and what you guys do out there is absolutely incredible. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate That brings us to item 5, public comments on the consent agenda. Any public comments on anything that we have on the consent agenda? And I don't see Robert there's Robert Reinhagen. I don't see him moving, so we're okay on that item. Agenda approval, item 6.
Move to approve the agenda for tonight?
Second it.
We have a motion, proper second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The agenda for the evening is approved. May I have a motion in regards to the consent portion of the agenda?
Move to approve consent agenda items?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve consent agenda items 7 through 10, which include resolutions, so call the roll.
Councilman Foley,
Yes.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0, consent agenda is approved. That brings us to public participation, and somebody who really cleaned up nicely, Jordan Snipes, wants to speak to us.
Where is Jordan?
There he is. It's not fair when somebody's here dressed better than me, but you nailed it, man. Tell us who you are and why you're here.
All right, I'm Jordan Snipes. I'm the founder of Tomorrow Needs You, which is a veterans and first responder nonprofit organization. We operate within the county of Volusia, and we come each time to the city council meetings, and we want to make you guys aware of the events we have going on. Just last week, we got blessed from the Volusia County Sheriff's Office, and we will be doing our 22-mile walk this year as well, again. So it's going to be September 21st, 2024. It's going to be this year, instead of doing 22 miles straight down US 1, we're actually going to start and end in the city of Port Orange. We're going to start, and then we're going to walk 11 miles down. Our turnaround point should be the Edgewater Police Department, and then we'll be coming back 11 miles. So I wanted to bring that to everyone's awareness. Anything that the city needs from us and everything, we're always willing to help. And then any updated events or anything like that, we'll keep you guys updated as well.
Appreciate that, and we'll, of course, do our part to help spread the word.
Thank you, sir.
Have you been able to get confirmation from Sergeant Peter Corelli of the Volusia County Sheriff's Office that he is in fact going to do that this year?
We're still working on that right
Can,
now.
Well, I
can you
think
get
so-
could you get back and let me know?
I think he is now, Scott.
Yeah.
just
we
wanna
will make sure
sure.
Sergeant Corelli does it.
I
So
saw a little social media fodder there, and I want to make sure that.
we will make sure Sergeant
Okay,
Corelli does
yeah,
it
get
this
back
year.
with
He's
me on
gonna
that.
he's gonna actually do all 22 miles
I
as
think
well.
I think he's got it
So-
in him for sure.
Jordan, it seems like you just finished up the other 22-mile walk, and here we are again with it. I mean, time's flying because I literally thought you just finished, but I know it's been a little bit.
Yeah, it is going to be September each year. Every
Okay.
year will be a recurring event as well.
Yeah.
This will be the 3rd time, and we're going to keep doing it every September.
Awesome.
So if you
Is
guys,
it-
Awesome.
Pardon the question. Is it a true walk pace? I mean, is this if
It
people
is.
that when they see an event like that, it's 22 miles. Some people can walk it almost at 4 miles an hour on a walk pace, and others at 2.8, so forth like that.
So
is
we-
it truly a walk pace? That
so last
anybody
year
can
we
do?
walked as fast as the slowest person.
Okay.
So we never, if we started having a lot of people break out and like
Yeah.
in the back, we slowed down to keep everyone together as a
Got it.
group. We didn't want anyone to fall behind. We wanted to make sure safety and everything was the biggest. We actually had a 7-year-old kid walked almost 16 miles, and we had an 86-year-old male who did the entire walk.
Wow.
And some of those people that did the 22 miles, that completed the entire 22 miles, said they've never walked farther than 5 miles in their life.
And those
So-
that want to come out and maybe participate, but don't feel they could do the entire 22, will there be an option for them to walk a shorter
They can
distance?
come, they can walk 100 feet, they can walk 2
Okay.
miles or anything. We are going to be doing a 2.2 mile pickup point towards the end.
Okay.
So that will be organized and stuff as well. That will come out later in the details, but we're going to have a 2.2 mile pickup. So if everyone doesn't want to do 22 miles, they can do just the 2.2 miles.
Got it. Thank you.
Good to know.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Good stuff.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Jordan.
Tracy, you have any others? That was it? Okay. That brings us to council comments. Let's start with, let's put Drew on the spot first.
Nothing tonight, man.
Excellent, excellent
Out the
comments.
I'll echo Drew's comments.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna write this date down. Tracy, what you got for us?
I'm gonna speak. Sorry, guys. So being gone over the last week and seeing hard work again when I come back from our city personnel on resolution 10 that we approved tonight. I want to go over that lightly, but not really lightly.
Jackson Street,
They
Oak Street
have-
drainage improvement.
Drainage improvements to an area that has been impacted over and over again over the hurricanes, and Jackson Street, Oak Street drainage improvements. City personnel have dug up money that has been laying around for different budgets that have been finished. And they took all that leftover money and comprised to make this happen of a tune of $672,000. So for department heads and everybody that made that happen as we go forward, thank you for finding over $500,000 to get a project going sooner than us waiting to try to get more money to come into the coffers. So those type of things that we need right now because of flooding. We don't want to see flooding ever again. And to have that project getting kick-started real soon, better than waiting for years down the road, the better we are. So thank you very much. That's all, Mayor.
You just took one of the things off my list. Read what you got.
I'd asked this question last meeting, and I didn't say anything because I thought Tracy was going to hit on all of it. But I want to reiterate this. The city got a $15 million grant, which Tracy pointed out, and I want to make sure we heap praise on staff for that, but also Brad and his team from Mead Hunt, and of course Steve Parnell and Junos. They all worked together to make that happen. I want to make sure that they all got credit for that. That is a big number to receive, and that's a huge help to us. So I want to make sure that I said thank you as well. So yeah, that was the only one I had today.
Okay, appreciate that. I was going to mention not only the flood improvements from Oak Street that are coming, but the things that we have happening on Madeline across from Sugar Forest. Can't wait to see that. Can't wait to see a sign up. I see that we've made a little progress there on the access point. So as soon as we can have a park sign up there so that people can enjoy that space as we work to improve it for stormwater and the like, I'd appreciate that. Wayne, what I wanted to ask you about is I've seen some activity, seen a couple of lights, and I've seen a street light lamp disappear. You know where we are with Nova Road with those lights that have been out for the last, I don't know, year and a half now?
So we have found the location where the power was cut in that area, and we have had electric crews out there with our consulting electric crews to determine. It appears that the actual line got pulled back and it would have to be bored back under the road, so we're trying to get a cost estimate. And then from there we'll come to you. It depends on what it costs. If it's in my authority, then we can do it. But we may end up working out something with DOT to split the cost to get it back. But now we know the exact location where the power is out, and we just need to get a cost to what it takes to repair it, and then we will determine who's paying for it at that point.
Joys of working with DOT on a road that they own, but we have to.
We agreed to do the lights up to this point.
Okay.
Yeah, and for the line to be pulled out or pulled back, that's just.
It was one of the fiber companies did that during a
course.
project, and so it got cut during their effort.
Cut it. Maybe they'll return their favor when they put it back. I'm kidding.
Yeah, not so much. That's all I have. Board appointments, interviews, and reports. Item 12, Citizens Advisory Committee for the TPO, Mr. Bobby Ball.
Good evening, Bobby Ball at the CAC for the TPO. We had our monthly meeting, and pretty standard stuff. We recommended approval of the 2-year work program to go to the board for approval. We did receive some presentations on the TIP 5-year program, and I'm happy to say I think half the projects that were there were Port Orange sidewalk jobs, so that was kind of nice that we'll get some representation there.
Good.
DOT had a nice report that I think they had their second one come out, and it listed Nova Road drainage as being improved here recently. So that was kind of nice to see, especially for us down in the south end of the canal. And then I did ask about after last month's meeting, I asked about the well, you already mentioned it, one, the streetlights, and then also asked about the signals and the adaptive system. And the county is supposed to be contacting Tim Berman, so we'll see what happens there. And with that, I think that's all I got.
Questions for Bobby? Those are two pretty hot button issues. Appreciate you staying on top of it for us.
You got it.
Yeah.
I think you got off easy.
No, I got the next one too, so I was just going to stand here.
Gee, Parks and Rec Advisory Board, you guys met tonight.
We did, Bobby Ball with the Parks and Rec Board. We were briefed on, really the main thing is really the bond update coming up, which is super exciting. I think you're gonna get a presentation here soon as well, and as a board member we can advocate. I think as a city you can't, but we will do our best to share the QR code, see the website, and educate everybody with the facts. And then there's also a calculator that'll be on that website that can also determine what it will cost to the individual residents. Beyond that, we got some updates on construction projects, including soccer fields, the gym, parks office, Spruce Creek Park restroom, the memorial piles in the lake, and then we got some updates on the programs, which are just kicking butt right now. I think we had 738 kids in the baseball program.
There's a bunch of them.
Yeah, so
A
with
bunch.
that, that's all I
A
got.
lot of baseball.
Yep.
Love it.
Anything else?
Just want the Parks and Rec Board at some point, I've mentioned this before, if you have the ability to explore looking at some kind of disc golf course.
Okay.
You know, if we can fit that in one of our parks, but we'd love to maybe down at Spruce Creek in that area there. I don't know, we've got some space that we can use. It's something I keep hearing about.
I know we've talked about it a couple times at the board
Yeah.
level. I honestly couldn't tell you exactly where we landed, but we can bring it up next
Okay.
time.
Appreciate it. Just
Thanks-
have the conversation.
Thanks for
let us
all
know.
your service.
Thank you.
Bobby,
Thanks,
appreciate
Bobby.
it.
That brings us to the public hearing portion of our meeting. The public hearing portion of our meeting is now open. Item 14, items A and B. Penny, I'm going to assume you probably want me to open both at the same time?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Okay, second reading on ordinance number 2024-02, an ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, relating to comprehensive planning, amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan, amending the future land use designation for plus or minus 5.2 acres of parcels 6201-00-0010 from urban medium density residential 4 to 8 units per acre to commercial, amending the future land use designation for 29.9 acres of parcel 6201-00-00-0012 from suburban residential 0 to 2 units per acre to urban medium density residential, which is 4 to 8 units per acre, amending the future land use designation for plus or minus 2.5 acres of parcel 6201-00-00-0012 from suburban residential, which is 0 to 2 units per acre, to commercial, with text amended adding a future land use element policy to provide density intensity limits for the overall 149.2 acre property generally located along the north and south sides of Madeline Avenue, east of Williamson Boulevard, authorizing transmit to required agencies, providing for conflicting ordinances, severability, and an effective date.
Move to approve ordinance number 2024-02.
Second it.
Yeah. 2024-02, motion and a proper second. The item is open on the floor for discussion. The other item, as soon as I can zoom in on it, it's not quite as hard to read, because ordinance number 2024-03 is an ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, rezoning property consisting of approximately 32.4 acres of parcel 6201-00-00-0012 from R-8SF single-family residential to planned unit development and establishing the Hammock Preserve planned unit development. The PUD Master Development Agreement and Conceptual Development Plan for a 149.2 acre site generally located along the north and south sides of Madeline Avenue, east of Williamson, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Move to approve ordinance number 2024-03.
Second it.
We have a motion, proper second reading of ordinance number 2024-02 and ordinance 2024-03 are open for discussion. Penny, you want to update us and tell us where we're at since we had first reading? I know we covered a lot of ground that night.
Yes, sir. So Penelope Cruz planning, so I won't go through the full presentation again tonight.
Thank
I know
you.
that was very long on the first reading. I did just want to provide an update on the two items. So The first reading of the first item, 14A, was approved at first reading and thereafter was sent to the state review agencies as well as the Volusia Growth Management Commission and adjacent local governments. There were no objections, no comments received, and it is certified for adoption today. Regarding the second item, 14B, that was also approved on first reading by the City Council, subject to the Master Development Agreement being amended to limit the hours of operation for any commercial on Parcel 2 to 6 a.m. through 10 p.m. That amendment has been made. That is reflected in the ordinance in your packet tonight. No other changes are here, so everything else is the same as first reading.
Council comments or questions of staff?
Second reading.
Second reading, we've been through this. I know that we've, this project has changed quite a bit from its initial presentation to neighborhood meetings, changes again before Planning Commission, changes again as it came to us the first time, and we asked for more changes, and those were incorporated into this reading. With that in mind, if there's no comments from council, I'll go to the public. Anyone here care to speak to the item?
Good evening, Karen Weinrich. I live in Sunset Cove, so I just had a few questions / comments. It says in here, I've read through it, that they're required to do a traffic analysis, but it never mentions Sunset Cove as part of that. And it is already very difficult to get out of our neighborhood during rush hour because it's not just Sunset Cove, but the Hidden Lake, that whole subdivision uses our street as a pass-through to get to Madeline. So there's more traffic than you would expect from our small development. So it's very difficult, and I don't want it to be, we have an accident and then we put a light in. So I would request that that really gets some serious consideration. I'm also concerned about flooding, because it does say in here, it says during storm events beyond a 100-year flood. Well, we can't really say they're 100-year floods anymore, okay? They're not. And it says that it would go back into that canal behind Sunset Cove. So we were very, very fortunate we were not flooded during the last hurricane, but that canal did reach and consume our retention area. In fact, we were able to kayak all the way down from the front to the back. So I'm concerned if we've got more drainage coming in, that could flood our homes and the development behind us. So that's concerning to me. It also said that schools won't be impacted, which you're building multifamily, schools will be impacted. That's, as a teacher, I don't teach at Horizon, but I mean, I'm assuming it'd be zoned Horizon. That's a big concern. And then I'm also curious, that big empty building, is that going to be torn down? Are they using that? That's been sitting there as an eyesore forever? Do we know?
Not part of this project.
Okay, so it's kind of going around that.
You can call Dr. Hermiden and talk to him about it, though.
Interesting. Okay.
Tell us.
Please buy it.
No.
Totally separate.
Hey, I'm a
yeah.
teacher, I can buy anything. And then my last thing is, I see it's multi-use. I'm not against development, but I was just at the Faith Organization last month, I believe, talking about affordable housing. I looked at the pictures. This does not look like affordable housing. How are we addressing affordable housing for our residents? It's a huge concern. If I didn't own my house, I don't know if I could afford to live here. My mortgage is way less than most people rent. So that's another concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Who else we got?
Mayor, council members, Robert Reinhagen, 1425 Dexter Drive North, Port Orange. With regard to the consent agenda, item 10, annual action plan for the Community Development Block Grant. This AP 75 barriers to affordable housing. It says to combat market trends that prevent access to affordable housing, the City of Port Orange continues to strive to create an environment where existing affordable housing stock is supported and has provided guidance through several city policies to foster the development of additional affordable housing stock in the community. The strongest regulatory tool to promote affordable housing development, at least in new multifamily developments not yet developed, would be to require inclusionary housing measures and density bonus measures for the development of affordable housing units. I would like to hear from staff a discussion of the measures the city has included in this hammock preserve development to promote affordable housing. And I still support houseboats. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Who else we got on this? Come on.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Kelly Smith. I'm a resident of the Town Park subdivision. And one of the concerns that I have regarding this particular development is the commercial aspect of it. We have a wonderful residential area of Port Orange, and having the incursion of additional commercial aspects and building in that way, I think disrupts the flow of the city, adds additional traffic, and also worries me when it comes to additional aspects of infrastructure, traffic, and flooding. I echo a lot of the sentiments of the previous speaker because our neighborhoods are back to back. And while we did not completely flood during the last hurricanes, all of our retention ponds were completely full. Our streets were covered with 8 inches of water, and I wonder where that water will go. Also, as an individual with environmental concerns and a desire for low impact development in Port Orange, we tout ourselves as a tree city. And yet we like to, unfortunately, tear down a lot of trees and not take conservation into account. I understand there's been changes and amendments to the plan for this to add additional conservation elements, but I would certainly hope that we would make more of an effort to maintain the green of our city, because last time I checked, people weren't saying how much the additional car wash that was recently built added to the fulfillment and enrichment of living in this community. So having more that enriches the community, I think, is of more value than the tax revenue we would get from the commercial aspect that's added to this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Last chance. Anybody else? Before we go back to council, certainly like to hear from you guys because a lot of what was asked was covered at first reading, but I also want you to have a chance to recap it. And I know that we talked about the flooding concerns and what you're doing on parcel 3, and some things were just simply limited in what we can allow or not allow by state law. Thank you very much up there. But Mark, I want you to have your opportunity.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, appreciate the opportunity to be here. Mark Watts with the law firm of Cobb Cole, 231 North Woodland Boulevard, DeLand. I've got Jessica Gow with our firm here with me, and Chris Rowley and Bobby Ball with Zevco and our civil engineers are also here. If you have any questions for them. We did go into a lengthy presentation on a lot of these issues at the last meeting and at the planning board. I do want, because we had some speakers that touched on them, I do want to just kind of recap those very quickly so that we can answer the questions that they've raised.
Very quickly.
Very quickly.
Lawyer terms.
That's right. Very quickly. So just to recap, one of the things that we're doing with regard to this project and the applications in front of you is we have not sought to increase the residential densities. We're simply shifting them around on the 3 parcels, really concentrating them on parcel 1, which is the one at the intersection of Madeline and Williamson. We're also providing the neighborhood commercial there. We talked at your last meeting about how your comprehensive plan does 2 things with regard to both housing and commercial. It says you should concentrate commercial at those nodes, at those key intersections, particularly neighborhood commercial that is designed to serve the housing and the neighborhoods that are around it. And so that's what we've done with regard to the commercial, and we've limited those uses very specifically. So that's the type of uses you get. That also reduces your traffic. It has that additional benefit. We also, with regard to your comp plan, we talked about the infill characteristics of this project and the language in your comp plan that specifically encourages alternate housing types and kind of the clustering and concentration of densities in this area. With regard to traffic, we're not done, as we talked about in our last meetings. We've done our preliminary analysis of traffic. We still have to go through the full TIA. One of the things that the county, with respect to the Sunset Cove intersection, we have to look at a 5-mile radius. We have to look at all the various intersections that the county asks us to look at under the TPO guidelines. One of the newer things that they were using and requiring in their methodologies for those studies is looking at key intersection safety, history, and improvements. So that'll be part of the analysis that is still to come as we get into construction. Flooding, one of the things we highlighted in our prior discussions is that this particular property, we're actually taking 2 out of the 3 parcels and largely dedicating them to additional stormwater and additional compensating storage. That was by a very specific intent and design to kind of allow the B19 canal more room to expand into, more storage volume in those storm events. But we also have committed through this PD to do a floodway study that really will go through and map kind of what's happening with regard to that whole flood area. And we've got a consultant out of Jacksonville that works very closely with Army Corps and FEMA to conduct that study. So that'll be a requirement before we're moving forward with any construction. Schools, we have to continually check in. We don't have any vesting with regard to school capacity, so we have to look again, and we have to get certification from the school board that they have capacity before any construction will be authorized. So that is your rules, that is their rules. We're not changing them with any of the things that are here this evening. I think that hit on, with regard to environmental and low impact development, clustering, preserving the existing wetlands, using stormwater design that kind of filters in through those wetlands are all low impact development approaches. So those are all incorporated into this project. We also have increased the amount of open space. We're at 75% of the overall site as open space, which is actually 15% higher than what your standard is for a PUD. So we've met and exceeded those standards for open space, environmental preservation, things of that nature. The last thing I wanted to note, this project is not necessarily designed as an affordable housing project, but the city is working with the rest of the community to encourage those. We do have, I think the last apartment complex that I can think of that was built on the Williamson corridor at Town West is a senior affordable project that we worked on for another client. So those additional units are also coming into the community. We've done 800 units in the past 2 or 3 years just across the border in Daytona. Those additional units are coming in, and the cities and the county are working very well together to help bring those additional units that are needed to the community. So we support that. We're actively working on it. It's not necessarily incorporated into this site, but it is coming in other sites. So with that, here for any questions, our team's here if you have any other questions you might have for us.
Council questions?
That was pretty fast for a lawyer.
Not bad. It was pretty good. I think one of the big things is making sure that Town Park Sunset Cove both understands that the major portions of Parcel 3 and Parcel 2 is what's backing up to their properties.
That's correct.
And those are going to be lakes and retentions. It's going to only help with the runoff and catch the water. That's one of the biggest concerns.
Right.
As far as traffic coming, I'm that guy that lives behind you. I don't. I try to take my truck and park it for you guys to quit cutting through my neighborhood. So when those
I wonder why I let him go first.
When these communities got built, we were here. Nobody wants to ever say we were here first, but community Sunset Cove Town Park got built around us. I get it. I wish the bridge wasn't there personally. It would stop a lot in your community and my community. Plus, it also help law enforcement to be able to traffic that there's only one way out, in and out of a community. So that there's a lot of reasons why they build things. I wasn't around for those. We just happen to live where it is now. But the big concern for me is when they first brought the project to us was dealing with water. That pond and lake, I bicycle around all the time. Probably shouldn't. I'll probably get in trouble later for saying that. But I bicycle around that all the time. And I've seen the ebbs and tides of those lakes and the canals all the time. It was a great concern. The biggest concern was also dealing with, okay, we're going to put density of housings in these areas. And thankfully they have moved all of that over to Parcel 1. Having Parcel 1 as the bulk and everything else as being retention is the best of the plans that could probably come to us in our neighborhood. Somebody else could have took the property and put houses all over it. I mean, that's the scary factor of it. So when we sit here and we look at it as what did they do? Well, they took it from 60% to 75% of open space. We are getting to the point of where density has to go up. That may not be what you want to look at, but that gives us more open space by going up. So hopefully it's the best of the best that we've seen in a long time. As far as the corner lot where the church is, yeah. I'll open Pandora's box too tonight. I've had a long week off, so anybody wants to get a hold of him and give him the price to sit on it, great. But right now he has been unreceptive to everybody, from myself to multiple groups that have tried to incorporate it into their projects, to other good business partners that I have and we've talked to before. And yeah, we'd like to see that change. It's not that people haven't tried. It's hopefully this project going forward, somebody will come in and see a project to supersede over this project to finish out the eyesore, as I call it, because nobody likes it.
At least we're successful in making them landscape it.
Yeah.
That was a long time in coming.
Yep.
Okay. You good? Read what you got.
I don't have any questions. I totally understand that change can be really scary, and when we first started talking about this, I had major concerns with traffic and flooding. My house flooded over in Sleepy Hollow during the hurricane, so I know that fear because I lived it. I do think, there's a lot. In regards to like the car wash comment, there are a lot of things that happen in the city that this council doesn't get to say no to. When things are already zoned for something, we don't have an ability to go in there and say no. That's how you get sued and end up with residents footing the tax bill. There are things that are just out of our control. The last car wash that went up, we approved the plat and that's it. It was already zoned commercial and already went in. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's happened with a lot of things here where it was already zoned commercial. But in regards to this project, you just talk about density going up, and I just want to clarify what he means is density going vertical, not going higher in density. Right. This project has 75% open space as opposed to 60, which is what's in all of our plan. That's above and beyond. The reason that I feel good voting for this project is knowing that when I asked them about flooding, which again, as someone who lived through it, was one of my number one concerns, they showed me how they'd moved all of the actual density, right? The number of units that could be built on 1, 2, and 3 by combining them, they're getting it all away from the existing neighborhoods and putting all that stormwater retention on lot 2 and lot 3. And that is a huge thing for me because I want to say that from my position in this seat at this time, I did everything in my power to make sure we protect the residents who are already living in Port Orange. And I feel very confident that this team, Mark, and everyone that you've worked with here, and the Karasi family, who have listened and advised, or listened to the advice given to them by Bobby Ball and other people, I feel confident they are doing everything in their ability to protect our existing residents while still having a viable project. And so, this is a vote of confidence in all the effort that's gone into this. I believe in the project. I do believe that this is going to be hopefully an example of how we should look to do things in the future. We can only move forward by learning from mistakes and doing things the right way with that information. And I think the approach here is definitely the right one. So,
Scott?
So, you haven't got me to a yes yet because I really needed to see reduction in some density there. But it wouldn't be fair for me not to voice my approval of a lot of the good things that the project has done from where it sits currently under current zoning. And I would agree that, especially with the rest of the council, that you guys have definitely created more open space. To do that and be within what the zonings dictate, that means you gotta go vertical. I get that. So you guys have done that. We hear that a lot too. We want more open space, more green space, more ponds, more lakes and things like that. And this kind of a design accomplishes that to a degree, maybe not a degree that everybody would like, but it is, I would absolutely have to say much better than what the current zoning would be if council didn't approve this and somebody went ahead and said, well, we're just gonna do what it allows, and like Councilman Foley's talking about, that doesn't have to come to us, they just get their approvals and start building. So I would applaud that. I also would say that as a Tree City designation, someone brought that up, you know, overwhelmingly what we see time and time again is that the developers that want to do business in Port Orange far exceed what they're required by state law and building codes and ordinances to do. And I know that you guys will do that as well as a lot of the other projects that your firm has been involved in. And so I do appreciate that. And we do proudly carry that Tree City designation, but we don't appoint that upon ourselves. That's because we exceed standards through our ordinances and our building codes. And you know, while we would all like to not see a lot of development, property owners do have their rights, and they're going to exercise those, and there's not much we can do about that. The traffic impact comments, I used to live 3 houses down from Councilman Grubbs, and it was way before our time too, but I would have never approved that connection. And in fact, many times that we've had something similar, we have not approved it for this reason. Interconnecting a lot of neighborhoods, it has its arguments as to why it seems like a good thing, but more often than not, what we see time and time again is it just creates more problems. It creates things that aren't really designed. So as those traffic studies are completed, and as you guys continue to go through that process, I strongly encourage and ask that you guys be extremely mindful of that, just as well as the flood mitigation efforts as well. And then lastly, just a comment about car washes, because I got to tell you, I hear that all the time. It's just become,
And
and
yet
it's all
people
over the state of Florida. Well, it's all over the country, right? I mean, but the truth is that car washes are a 60% reduction in the amount of water that's used when people wash their cars at home. Study after study after study has found that. So from an environmental perspective, it is that is the case. And you know, and it's ironic that it was brought up tonight, because the other day I'm going down Nova Road, and where that new car wash has just opened up recently at Nova and Herbert Street. When it was being redone, I was hearing time and time again from people, we don't need more car washes, we don't need more car washes. They're backed into the street in line to get into these car washes. So council doesn't decide if a landowner decides to build a pizza shop or a car wash or what have you. If it meets within those zonings and those landowners and those property owners want to do that, that's their rights to do that. But it is interesting that we hear that repetitively, yet car washes aren't failing businesses, they're growing, and you just see the continued demand and interest in using them over and over and over. I hope it's because of the environmental positive, you know, impact that by doing that, you're using less water, and a lot of these car washes use recapture systems and so forth and the like. And so, you know, we see that it can be the brunt of a lot of jokes, but those are business owners too. They employ people, they own those properties. It's not the city. It's the same as us not deciding whether something's a Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's, or a Taco Bell.
Right.
You guys decide that. The residents and the consumers decide it, because businesses don't build businesses to fail. They build them to succeed, and they put a lot of effort into seeing what will do that. Anyway, again, I do appreciate a lot of the aspects that the property owners and the developers and the staff and everybody have worked towards to meet a lot of the things we look for in projects. Like I said, I'm still not a yes, just because I just think it's just too much density in that particular area, but I do at least got to acknowledge that I think there's some good aspects to that.
And we appreciate that.
No problem. Thank you.
We've come a long way with that. And as far as the traffic study is concerned too, that traffic study will dictate a lot about how the fair share / impact fees are spent to improve traffic in that area. So we'll have dollars coming to help improve that situation as well. Drew, what you got?
Yeah, I was gonna say that about the traffic study. We're not there yet. This is one of the steps that we need to get to where all those other things can
We've got
happen.
a long way to go.
So, yeah, there's a long way to go, and you know, you guys have proven to me that you care about because it could have been built and not been nearly as good, and so I appreciate the effort to change it and make it a better fit for the location.
Right.
You know, ideally, people don't want the change, and I get it. You see a piece of property that's been vacant for how many years? But somebody is gonna come along at some point and buy that and develop it for what it's zoned for. And none of us up here set any of those zonings and the things back in the day. So I appreciate you making a better fit for that area. Yeah, the effort to do that and hear the concerns and meet with the people and do all that shows that, you know, you're just not all about the money. You want to make your money and you're entitled to do that, but you listen to what the concerns were from staff and the neighbors and came up with a plan that will work much better than what could have been built there.
You
So,
good?
Appreciate it, yep.
One
Go
quick question, and if you can't talk about this because of your client stuff, please don't, I'm not putting you on the spot. That piece of property that we all talk about that's on that corner, did your clients attempt to make a negotiation to acquire that, to incorporate that into this project?
We've made multiple attempts they have made multiple attempts, and I was remiss in not mentioning that we also met with the county recently to talk about their design effort for the Williamson widening that they're getting ready to undertake, and we were working with them to identify stormwater sites and suggested that they may also want to take an attempt at it. So in any event,
It'd be a nice big great spot. For
great
a
pond.
lake.
There's already a
So
lake there.
so it is again, it's something that has been tried multiple times.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate the fact that you're answering questions in 6-minute increments for some reason, but the biggest thing for me was when I walked the Grove subdivision after Hurricane Ian in backyards at Canal. Now granted, Ian was unlike any storm we've ever seen, but even a regular hurricane, if there is such a thing, we shouldn't have to worry about such things. I appreciate the conversations we had initially, because you asked what my concerns were, and I jumped out and said flooding and anything you do with that canal along parcel 3. I appreciate your responsiveness to that, because I can deal with some inconveniences if we address a lot of things, but that is an absolute big one for me. The other thing that I appreciate is the fact that you're willing, at Tracy's suggestion last time, to put a operating hours limit on the businesses so that we won't have a convenience store operating at 3 a.m.
Right.
I appreciate that very much. And one thing I got to say about traffic, and if you have the right mix of businesses in an area, it actually improves things because it'll serve the neighborhood that exists and shorten trips around town. So it actually has some potential. Not perfect, but I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of improvements we can get out of the traffic study. With that, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate
then we
your
will
time.
come back and council will do final deliberations. I'll start on this end again.
I think I've said all I need to say.
Okay. Scott?
Good.
Nothing more, Mayor.
All right. With that, on second reading of ordinance number 2024-02, call the roll.
Councilman Foley,
Yes.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner,
No.
Mayor Burnett,
Yes, 4-1. On ordinance number 2024-03, call the roll.
Councilman Foley,
Yes.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner,
No.
Mayor Burnett,
No. 3-2. Both ordinances pass on second reading. Additional items, City Attorney?
None tonight.
Excellent report. City Manager?
Nothing further.
Excellent report. City Council Committee reports. First Step Shelter, just wanted to bring you up to date on some stats. I have forwarded to the council that 1,260 people have been sheltered. 250,000 meals have been served at that shelter since its opening in December of 19. More than half the residents graduate into housing, and of those, 2 years later, 94% of them are still housed. So it's been very successful. And the board of directors of the First Step Shelter, of which I serve as vice president, we had a visioning session last Saturday that took up a good chunk of the day. So we're working on goal setting to improve over the next 3 to 5 years, the things and how that serves. And one of the things that has been very impactful for the city of Port Orange is then the opening of the safe zone. We've had 78, I guess you can use the word clients because that's the word they're using. 78 clients from Port Orange have utilized the safe zone since its inception. So Pretty glad to see that we're able to utilize it for what it's supposed to be. Port Orange South Daytona Chamber of Commerce. I was going to give that report and talk about an event next week, but somebody who's very good at representing the chamber is here, so I'm going to let Barbara Ann talk about that because she's real good at talking even quicker than me.
Good evening. I would like to give you a few updates. We have a ribbon cutting tomorrow for Store It Self Storage right here in Port Orange, right on Dunlawton at noon. We would love any of you to join us. We have our Tasteful Affair coming up on Thursday, April 25th, and that's a popular event right at the Riverside Pavilion from 5 to 8. We have over 15 restaurants participating, and we really need your support. We want to let the community know that even though we're a few years out of COVID-19, small businesses are still impacted. They're still trying to ramp up staff, and we just had a workforce initiative last week on Thursday related to a recovery-friendly workplace initiative, hiring people in active recovery and trying to get people back to work. So we are really working all fronts of this issue to try to fill the open positions. So supporting our small businesses, especially our restaurants, is critical, and that's why we're doing this event. It's a popular event. There will be music. We're celebrating our community's unique flavor, so we hope that you will join us for that particular event. In addition, I'll close. I've been part of the Port Orange University, and it's been an outstanding program. I still have a few weeks to go. I thank all of the staff, and one particular department, the Public Works Director, Tom, does an outstanding job. We get lots of compliments, and all of you should know the Dunlawton is absolutely beautiful. All of the lawns that are mowed, it's green, it's lush, it's clean, there's no garbage there. So a round of applause to the Public Works and that entire department. Thank you so much.
Barbara. Tracy Grubbs, you've got Art House, and I think you wanted to mention something else about your TPO meeting?
That's actually me.
I'm sorry, okay.
So Art House met on the April 2nd committee meeting. They had a very, very successful spring break initiative for their kids for a week long. Had over 36 kids in attendance from elementary school all the way to high school. And then during the meeting, we also bounced off a few initiative ideals for council to look at. I found some things with Wayne earlier on this also, and it was dealing with the Down Under projects. While we're raising monies and getting things together for Down Under, and we're trying to beautify it, having Art House go in and potentially do all the columns through Art House projects for the kids to get that beautified until we get the other monies for those projects to go forward.
Fantastic.
So, need y'all's thoughts on that one and bounce it to Wayne and see what we can get together for Art House to go forward with it, for kids to be putting artwork underneath the bridge.
Excellent. And Reed, you had something else to mention about TPO?
Yeah, two things super quick. Number one, Tracy, I will not be able to attend in person next week, so just publicly, if you're able to attend in my absence, let me know. It's next Wednesday. If you can't, I'll attend virtually. You can email me that. Second thing was that I had someone reach out to me today who lives in Port Orange who wants to serve on the BPAC, which I've tried to appoint multiple people to that. No one wanted to do it. I don't think council has any objection to me appointing them. I don't even know if it matters to anyone, but want to make sure you knew that I have a very willing volunteer who has biked from Key West to Canada. So I think that qualifies him alone.
I would think so.
Far more qualified than me. I don't know that I've even biked from City Center to my house. So,
come on.
Yeah, just wanted to let you guys know about that.
Very good. Any other business come before us this evening? Before I drop the gavel, I want to thank the Port Orange Chamber for their presence. I also want to thank the Daytona Beach Regional Chamber. David Robinson, he's the, I guess you could call him the new Jim Cameron. But if you guys have reason to talk about government affairs with the Daytona Beach Regional Chamber, they're here also. I appreciate
Mayor,
all
you
our
gotta
chamber
say that
partners.
Jim Cameron with the accent.
J-M?
Jim?
Yeah,
Jim.
J-I-Y-I-M. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.